Hi, my name is Rickard, and in this video I will show you what I've been up to in May 2021. First of all, I publish a new video where I hack on the SmartNotes application. This video is number 13 in the SmartNotes hacking series. A consequence of trying to record these hacking sessions was that I ended up not doing any programming at all because I felt pressure to produce good hacking session videos, so instead I just didn't do anything at all. I didn't like that consequence, so instead I continued doing programming but stopped recording hacking sessions. I still think video is an interesting format, so instead this month I tried to do a video version of this monthly update where I also can show you what I've been working on instead of just writing about it. So let me know what you think about that. Because I stopped recording hacking sessions, I was actually able to do some programming on SmartNotes, and I got the table view feature working, like the first version. So let me show you what that looks like. So here we have the SmartNotes application with some example notes, and we can navigate as usual, and let's create a few more children of this second child. Just to illustrate the problem that the table view is trying to solve. So when you have a lot of children to a note, eventually they will become smaller and smaller to fit on the screen, and they will be difficult to read. And perhaps you're only interested in these children and not really interested in everything else in the network. So there's a lot more screen space to use if the other notes are not shown, and that's the purpose of the table view. So we can now switch to the table view with the T key, and what happens is this. So now all the children of that note are displayed in like a grid and fills up the screen. So now if we go back, you can notice that all the children are significantly larger. So this is the first working version of this, and there are still many parts missing. So for example, I would like to have the title note up here somewhere. I mean the second child. This note should be indicated somehow who the parent note is. But yeah, this is the first version, and I can continue to build on that. When I did work on SmartNotes this month, I also got a few ideas for things I want to try to implement. So the first one was to be able to pin notes. When you navigate the note network, you do that sometimes to create new links. And if you continue to navigate the note network, the note that you wanted to make a link to or from has actually disappeared. So to be able to pin that note so it is shown somewhere in the screen of the network, I think would be quite useful. You could use the search bar for this today, but maybe a pin feature would be more suitable in certain situations. The second thing I thought about was to be able to go to a random note. One of the purposes of the SmartNotes application is to be able to create links between notes, and by following those links you can discover interesting connections. So to be able to go to a random note and continue to follow the links from there might introduce you to things you thought about in the past that you've forgotten about, that might be useful to be reminded of. So that's another thing I thought about. The third thing I thought about was to add some kind of literate programming feature to SmartNotes. So in the past, when I've been working on RLiterate, it's been following kind of a classic approach to literate programming where you produce a document with code sections in that document, but it has focused on that linear presentation order. And I'm not convinced that that's the most useful way to use literate programming, especially if you're maintaining a code base. Also maintaining that linear story might be cumbersome and make it harder to maintain the code base. So I've been thinking along the lines that a literate programming tool should be able to annotate the source code instead and provide additional context. So imagine in SmartNotes if it had like all the units of the code base were in separate nodes, so like all the functions were in separate nodes, and useful connections were made between those nodes. So, for example, you could, in one node, you could place like the call stack of a specific thing happening in your application, and then you can follow that call stack in a linear fashion, even though it's not linear in the code base. And being able to annotate code in that way, I think, would be perhaps more useful than a linear literate programming approach, and something I would like to explore more. And I think SmartNotes might actually be a good platform for trying this out. So another thing that makes it hard to use literate programming in practice when working with others is that they don't necessarily want to use the literate programming tool. So I think another feature that is very important in that scenario is to be able to edit the source code in the usual way, and then the literate programming tool just like works as an add-on that you can use optionally. So not sure exactly how that's going to work technically, but I think that will also be an important feature to look at. This month I've also been learning more about video and video editing. So I actually bought a new camera. It's a Sony a6400 and a lens to go with it. And so I've been playing around with that, and I've learned about concepts like video and photo concepts such as exposure, shadows, midtones, highlights, the RGB parade, white balance, color correction, that sort of thing. And I watched a lot of videos on YouTube trying to get better at this. I also switched the video editor I used. So previously I've been using Shotcut, and now I've been trying Kdenlive. And so far I think Kdenlive feels more professional and more intuitive for me to use. So I'm quite happy with that at the moment. So I've been learning that a bit more as well. That's it for this update. I'll see you next month. Bye.